Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Tarot with Kuka, and this is my third weekly installment video with the guidance of the moon. Today is Friday, May 22nd, 2020, and we are in a new moon in Gemini. What does that mean exactly, a new moon in Gemini? Well, a new moon means that it is in between the earth and the sun. It's almost a straight line, but not quite. So what we are actually seeing, because we are actually seeing the moon that is in front of the sun, so we are not getting the side that's being reflected. We're actually getting the dark side of the moon. And so this is where we call for a time of going into the introspection, but it's also the magical time of having wishes fulfilled, or making your wishes and setting it out into the universe. With the moon being in Gemini, there are some different aspects of what we can do to get attuned with the moon. I am actually utilizing Yasmin Boland's Moonology book, and so here is a quick look at it. It's an awesome, informative book in regards of how to set your attunements to the specific phases of the moon, as well as where the moon is in the different houses of the zodiac, because it could have different meanings. So, like for instance, what she identifies in the new moon in Gemini, just a couple examples here, is communication is key, meditation, socializing, see your siblings, and read. So with the new moon in Gemini, Geminis are communicators, and so they love to talk. And so this is also a time to look at how you're honing in on your communication skills. Are you listening enough? Are you speaking up enough for yourself? So this is a time in introspection to analyze how you're communicating. Geminis are very intellectual, and so while the moon is in this sign, this can boast your communication abilities. Meditation. This is something I'm not quite there yet. My mind, I still have an analytical mind where I am constantly problem solving. My gosh, if I could, with a million thoughts that run through my head and put them in organization, I could probably solve world problems. LOL, just kidding. But like I say, I do troubleshoot, and I have a restless mind. So meditation is something I'm learning to kind of get me into that calm state. Socializing. So as you know, our Geminis are socializers, big flirts. They love the attention. And so this is our chance. So if we are wallflowers, we can hone in on some socialization skills. I know right now we're dealing with a pandemic, so I'm not recommending going out to your local bar and meeting somebody, but let's try it through social media, and stay the safe distance, because again, you don't want to rush into something and go meet somebody that you don't know if they've been exposed and put your life at risk for something. I don't want to say as trivial, but you don't know who you're running into. So be safe first and foremost. I guess family is also key around this time, so it's a perfect time to check in with your siblings. If you had a falling out with the family member, or you just haven't connected with them in a long time, this is your chance to catch up and say hello. And again, falling back on the communication skills. Read. Geminis, readers. It's time to soak up the books. Like right now, I literally kind of have 5 books on my shelf that I am going through kind of as my studying with the tarot. Like I say, I use the Biddy Tarot, the intuitive guide from the Biddy Tarot, angelic guides with Becky Divine, Radley Valentine's, the angel the Angel Tarot guidebook. Love it because it gives me a whole different perspective of what we used to, of what we consider the scary cards, turning it into a positive, loving spin. So, like I say, while we're also in this social distancing, take up a few books and read. So, what I was trying to look at during this whole moon guidance, I wanted to take a look at what was going on in the universe. And lordy, there is a lot going on with the universe right now. We are in several retrogrades. What is a retrograde, you ask? Yeah, I can. So a retrograde is a planet's orbit. And so planets orbit in the forward motion. However, from Earth's perspective, even though the planet is still going forward, from our perspective, it appears to be moving backwards, and it causes a retrograde. I think the one that chimed in to me the first was a Mercury retrograde. I used to scoff at it. It was like, yeah, it's just a thing. But there was one day where on the job at 3 different locations, the same equipment malfunctioned. I was like, whoa. And, I also, just the little things, the printers went out, and miscommunication was also a key during Mercury retrograde. Sometimes you would say something, it come off wrong, you hurt the other person. So Mercury retrograde was one of the first things that I kind of learned about. But this case, we are in several. We have a Venus retrograde right now, and as you know, Venus is a ruler of love. And so with the Venus retrograde, June tends to be the time of marriages. And I didn't think about that. It's, around this time in June is where we're kind of coming in closeness with, I guess, with Venus. And so that I didn't dawn on me that this, I always thought we got married in June because of the nice weather. I didn't realize that June in Venus kind of rolled out that magical moment. But this time we are in a retrograde, and so it's like many of the sites that I went to, and astrologists are saying, oh, don't get married during this time, it's not a good time, can you postpone for a little bit longer. I like I say, it's up to you. There's always free will to do things. They say that it just, it doesn't mean that your marriage is going to fail out of the starting gate. It's just something that's going to have to be worked upon, on the long term. So Venus is actually in retrograde from 5/12 to 6/24. And then Jupiter went into retrograde May 14th, and because Jupiter is a further planet from the sun, it's going to be in a retrograde until September 12th. This is not necessarily a bad thing. This is Jupiter can actually help us with our inner growth, introspection, because Jupiter tends to work with the spiritual and religious realm. And so in a way, this is kind of our chance while it's in retrograde. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it allows us to kind of look within ourselves and maybe realign ourselves with our inner conscious and align ourselves with the Creator, with God, with the universe. So again, not necessarily a bad thing, but a time for introspection. Saturn retrograde happened May 10th, and it also goes out of retrograde in September 28th. And it's a ruler of karma. So again, the message is kind of, let's take stock of ourselves. Do we have some apologizing we need to do to some people? I mean, like if you kind of get hit with a little, sometimes your inner conscience is your guide. Like if you think about somebody and you kind of feel like, like all of a sudden you remember you may have said something that you felt hurt. Why don't you pick up that phone and call that person and set the apology? And and just that one small step, where you put yourself out there for forgiveness, you're allowing yourself to forgive yourself, and thus your healing begins. Pluto has been in retrograde since April 25th until October 4th. It's the furthest planet away, and we're dwelling deeper into our subconscious. And the weird thing that has been resonating with me is healing the inner child. And like one of those steps I took was going back to my childhood nickname, Kuka. Like I say, I clearly remember the day that I felt like I put a thumb and squashed that person. I insisted on being called by my real name, and ever since then I just felt like this Kuka was like even at the age of 4, I felt like Kuka was just this younger person, and I've grown up with this feeling like I've hurt this child. And so I'm coming to terms. And the funny thing is, I've also, with the Moonology book, I'm also studying the moon with respect to the houses of my zodiac. And one of the aspects right now is giving all the healing love to my inner child. Whoa, how everything connects, so like I say, I highly recommend Yasmin Boland's book. But again, there's a lot of great websites, a lot of great information about the moon and the moon phases out there. So let's get started with our card pull. So I pulled a card for the new moon, and again, like, I set my intention out into the universe with a direct message. And like I say, I call my creator God. And so my intention goes out with a message that I receive through my guardian angels and my spirit guides and my light team from God about what guidance we have. Last week I was super excited about the new moon in Virgo because I felt like it added, just a little bit of that stepping point to reverse that magician. And as I pulled Sunday's cards for this weekly guidance, where it was balance, and we had reverse King of Pentacles and reverse Knight of Cups, our emotions, putting check our emotions, and our finances. And so I thought, wow, this card was actually, could actually really work for this week. And so, I put my prayer intention out, and I shuffled my cards, and this is the card that I got. I got New Moon in Virgo. A time to give rather than take. And it cracked me up because ever since I started pulling oracle cards and tarot cards, what I found with my personal journey was that if I got a repetitive card, whether it was a different deck, same card on a different deck, or like in this case the same card itself, what that told me was I still need to learn this lesson. I'm not moving forward. And sometimes I take that repetitive message as, all right, let's continue the growth. And so with this, what I'm gathering from the Moonology cards is that we should focus on service. If you remember how on the first week when I read from the guidebook, one of the things that resonated with me was like, ask not what you can do for me, but what can I do for you? And so, I've set my focus on, set my focus on what I can do for others. I know, like, we've been in lockdown and haven't been able to socialize, but just little things, it's like, maybe ordering takeout from that small business. If you are, if you happen to be community to work and you see, you know, that homeless person, you know, hand them safely, social distancing, you know, hand them a few bucks. Just any little thing that you can do to serve mankind. And one of the most impactful things that you can do, especially if you can't get outdoors. And since we are in the new moon of Gemini, and meditation is key, there is absolutely nothing wrong with taking that time and meditating and focusing your love and putting it out there to the universe. And so it flows into, you know, anchoring the light at the present moment. And this is how to be in that present moment. You're not focusing on your finances. You're not focusing on cabin fever and, you know, I don't like being in, you know what? It's okay. You know, why don't you, you know, take that energy and just let's channel it elsewhere, you know, because I don't like telling people, well, you're wrong to feel this way. You know, you're never wrong for your feelings. But what you can do is maybe put your feelings in alignment with the highest good. If you have that cabin fever, you know, take a look around. Look at what you have under your roof and be thankful. If you're worrying about your finances, were you able to feed your family today? Were you able to come show the gratitude? Just little things like that, just about anchoring the moment. I'm not telling you I'm not telling you how to feel, but I'm trying to tell you to channel it in a more positive way. And if you're at a point where you are absolutely frustrated, and I've been that way, one of the tricks that I've learned to do is literally I take my angry feelings, and when I can no longer deal with them or even try to make it a positive, I simply give it to God. I literally am like, here, God, take this. I just can't do this anymore. Can you take this, since you can take this and turn it into love, because I can't right now. But that little outlet allows me to feel good, because even though I had these negative emotions, I didn't put it out there in the universe for people to feel. I was able to give it to God, who can transform it into love. And so with that, the simple guidance, you know, let's focus on the service. Let's be here in the now, and let's meditate. I will set up some additional videos with the link to Yasmin Boland's website, and so you can get in touch base with her daily. She has, I think, daily blogs about the moon, and so it's just an awesome learning experience. The more you learn, the more your mind grows. So with that, everybody, I send you love, light, and many, many, many blessings. Take care.